Welcome to our very first video on Microsoft Excel for MS 100 Online. I wanted to jump right in just to give you a quick introduction into navigating Excel, understanding some of the lingo that we will use in the class, some of those cool tech terms that make you really sound like you know what's going on interviews, and will really help you if you decide to move forward in this class and take a Microsoft Office certification exam. So we're just going to dive right in. What you're looking at right now is what happens when you open up Microsoft Excel 2016 in Windows 10. So when Excel opens up, what you'll get is this gallery of options. Okay, so when it opens up to a gallery. The gallery gives you recent activity, and it gives you the ability to choose one of many online templates that Excel has available for you. For us in this class, we really won't use many online templates. So if we're not opening an existing document, we'll start a new blank worksheet, and you do that by simply clicking blank worksheet, and there you have it. So welcome to Excel. So there's a lot of things in Excel that if you've never used a spreadsheet program before might be a little confusing. So what I like to do is give you a little bit of a walkthrough of the interface, give you a lay of the land, and then give you some landmarks in case you get lost. Now, why do I say that? Well, think about anyone that's driving a car. You get a phone call from a friend that's bad with directions. They're driving a car and they say, "Hey, I'm lost." What's the first thing you do? You say, "Look out your window. Tell me what you see." Whatever they see, that's a landmark to help them find their way. And I want to give you the landmarks in Excel that will help you in case you get lost while you're working on a project. So the first thing I want to do is show you this thing that goes across the top right up here. Right up here, all these things that we're clicking through. My computer's running a little slow, but you see as I'm clicking through, this thing at the top is called the Office ribbon. All of this is called the Office ribbon. Okay? The Office ribbon has tabs. Each one of these tabs have different themes or different areas of tools that you have to work with. Okay? So you have the Office ribbon. The ribbon has tabs. Inside each tab, you have a group of tools. So for example, I am currently in the Data tab, and here is a group of tools called Sort and Filter. And inside that, you see we have many tools that go along with that, like Sort or Filter. Okay. So the next thing I want to show you is this green tab on the left, and that one's very special. Notice that one is called Backstage. So if you click that green tab, you'll see that this takes you to something special called the Backstage area. Okay. I wish I could tell you why it's called Backstage. It's just something that Microsoft likes to do. They've come up with a name, and that's what we're going to go with. So if you take the Microsoft Office certification exam, this is called Backstage. Now, what does Backstage do for you? Backstage is where you do your heavy lifting in regards to file management. So if you want to save a file, if you want to export a file as a PDF, if you want to print a file, if you want to adjust your Office or your Microsoft Excel settings, you can set your options there. So all of that happens in the Backstage area of the ribbon. Okay. Now, once you get that all set, you want to start working on your document. You're going to go ahead and click, and you're back inside Excel. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to show you is something particularly special, which is how you actually address things inside Excel. Okay, so when I say address, which is something you'll read about, we use a coordinate system inside Excel that allows us to manage data. So for example, if this was a spreadsheet that had hundreds of lines of data in it, and you wanted to isolate one specific data point, well, you would do that by going to a specific cell range. So what you'll see is the cell ranges are set up by using the coordinates of a column and a row. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, spreadsheets are organized in columns. That's what you see going across and going down, and rows going across. So, for example, you have columns, which are lettered A, B, C, D, E, and then you have rows 1, 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth, and it goes really far down to something like what is that? 10,480,000, some huge number at the bottom. Okay. So what I want to show you first is how we actually describe data points as we're describing them inside Excel. So for example, if I go over here and I just type a number like, let's say 1979. Well, if I look at the column, I'm in column F, and if I look at the row, I'm in row 8. So the address of this number is F8, is where we see that. Okay, so that's very important when you're describing where you're looking at data observations, is what we'll call them, or data points, or just numbers. First, you tell the column letter that corresponds, and then you tell them the row number. You wouldn't want to go the other way around and say 8F. Yes, technically that's correct, but it's just not a business practice. So this would be cell F8. For example, this would be cell D13. And if you think, this seems awful familiar, I would be willing to bet that almost everyone listening to this video has had experience with this kind of numbering scale before, because it's very similar to a very popular childhood game called Battleship, which we'll play Excel Battleship in class. So get ready. That'll be a lot of fun. Okay. So the next thing I want to show you are some things across the bottom. So we're going to go down to the left-hand corner right here. Notice at the bottom you see something that says Sheet 1. Well, just like you read in Chapter 1 of your book, Excel workbooks are just that. They're workbooks. Workbooks are comprised of worksheets. There is a limit to the number of worksheets you can have, but it's a really, really large number. So something like 300 individual worksheets that you can have in a workbook. Now, just to explain what I mean by that, think of worksheets in a workbook like pages in a 3-ring binder. So I have the ability to add pages, and if I want, I can take them away. So for example, this was page 1, but now I've got sheet 2, sheet 3, sheet 4. So it's the equivalent of a 3-ring binder with 4 sheets in them. And now I can rename those anything I like. I can move those around once I do. So for example, if I'd want demo 2 to appear in front of demo 1, I have the ability to do that. Okay. If I don't want one, I can delete it by right-clicking and going delete. And I just wanted to make sure you understand that. Now let's say you have quite a few worksheets. Quite a few. Let's add quite a few here. It's going to take a lot. Once we get to a certain number, you won't be able to see all the worksheets anymore. So for example, I've added 15 worksheets here down across the bottom. So each time I click, that's the equivalent of me turning a page in a 3-ring binder. Okay, that's distracting. So we'll get rid of those. Okay, so you can use the arrow keys at the bottom to scroll back and forth between those worksheets. And I've got a handout for you that talks to you about shortcuts and how to navigate through those without using your mouse a little bit later. Okay, we're almost done. In the lower right-hand corner over here, you'll see a few view things that are pretty handy for you as well. So one of those things that you're going to see is you are going to see the ability to zoom in and zoom out. Okay, so that's something that you want to pay attention to in case you just need to zoom in a little bit, or you want to zoom out and look at larger data observations all at once. You have the ability to change your views. Okay. So the views we're looking at right here, so this is page break view. Unfortunately, I've only got one page, so you're not seeing anything. You have, there we go, hang on, page layout view and normal, which is worksheet view. So we'll talk more about those. We'll explore them as we go through the book, but I just wanted to give you a little lay of the land to make sure you understand what I'm talking about when I say, for example, go to the data tab and click filter in the sort and filter group. So that is the end of our introduction to Excel interface, and we will see you again in the next video soon.